Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's meeting of the Agricultural Labor Relations Board. Our first order of business will be to call the roll. Do I have Board Member Broad?
Here.
Board Member Flores?
Present.
Board Member Hall? And Board Member Lightstone?
Here.
Wonderful. Also present for today's meeting is our Executive Officer, Santiago Avila Gomez, as well as our AGPA, Devika Gunawardena. If you have any technical difficulties during the meeting, please either reach out to them using the Zoom chat function or email. Their contact information is available on our meeting agenda, which is at alrb.ca.gov under the News and Information section, if you need their contact information for today. For those of you who haven't joined us before, we will first have the business portion of the meeting with several reports and presentations, and then we will open up for public comment at the end after our presentation from our Outreach and Communications Director, Daniela Ramirez, and our Outreach Vendor Census. If you wish to make a public comment during that time, and you have not already done so, please notify Santiago via one of several ways. You can put a note in the chat, you can raise your hand, or send an email, again, to his email address, which is listed on our agenda. We do have limited ability to manage participation during the meeting, so we do ask that if you are not speaking, that you place your phone or your video conference information on mute, or your Zoom application on mute, and please wait for us to call on you. If there are technical difficulties, we'll make every effort to make sure you are able to provide comment, and please reach out to us using one of the other methods, and we will do our best to get back to you. We ask that you not put substantive comments into the chat feature. That should just be used for technical difficulties or if you wish to make a comment. And as applicable, please say your name and organization if you are making a comment. Okay, thank you. Do we have
Our interpreter is joined.
I need to check, do we have our interpreter today?
Good morning. Yes, this is Elsie, the Spanish interpreter, and I was just typing a message on the chat. Is there a Spanish channel that I'm going to be moved to?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. So even if you're able to hear me now, in order to have good audio quality throughout the meeting, please go to the bottom of your screen, click on the language button, and select either your preferred language in either English or Spanish. We will now have our executive officer give this message so everyone is aware.
Buenos días y gracias por acompañarnos hoy. Por favor, si gustan escuchar este mensaje y además esta junta en español, por favor vaya hacia el abajo de su pantalla y presione el glóbulo que dice idioma o language y escojas el idioma español. Aunque quiera escuchar en inglés, por favor también elija el inglés si es que lo va a escuchar de ese modo. Gracias.
Thank you. Now to our next agenda item, which is approval of the most recent meeting minutes from January 11th. May I please have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Thank you, Board Member Broad. May I have a second? Thank you, Member Lightstone. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you. The minutes from January 11th are approved. The next agenda item is the Chair's Report. Our first item, I wanted to share that General Counsel Julie Montgomery and I are planning on heading to the UC Merced Labor Center next Friday as they prepare to release the results of their farm worker health survey and have a day-long presentation and series of meetings about farm worker health, especially as it relates to the pandemic. So looking forward to attending that event. Additionally, because I know we have other items, I do want to take a moment to just acknowledge the unfortunate events of this weekend, some of which hit close to home. Unfortunately, gun violence is something that none of us are strangers to. It is tragic and completely unnecessary every time it happens. There were tragic events in Monterey Park, and then, as we unfortunately learned, another event in Half Moon Bay affecting a population that we directly serve, the farm worker population. No one should ever feel unsafe or be unsafe, no matter where they are, whether it's school or their home or place of worship, nor their workplace. Everyone that goes to work should come home safely to their family and friends. And I want to extend wishes of peace and healing and strength to those families, their colleagues, and their community that is clearly hurting. I don't know what else to say other than I wanted to recognize that tragedy, and we are working with our state partners in order to ensure that services are being provided, and I'd like to thank our staff, particularly our Oxnard Regional Director, Jessica Arciniega, who has been helping coordinate some vital information, making sure we're connecting people to help provide those resources. And I'll be putting some information in the chat. There is a local organization on the ground that has been providing, will be providing resources to those workers and those families and communities. And numerous partners, including the County of San Mateo, have asked that those that wish to make a contribution, make a contribution there. So thank you for that. Okay, our next item is the Executive Officer's Report with Santiago.
Good morning, Chair and members of the board. Since our last public board meeting 2 weeks ago, there's been no election activity. There hasn't been a complaint issued. However, there have been 2 administrative law judge decisions issued and that are now pending before the board. The first is Garowin Farming, Inc., 2012 CE 041 BIS et al., and that involves a make-whole specification issued in December of 2021. The virtual hearing was held in August of 2022, and the decision issued and transferred to the board on January 20th of this year. Exceptions to that decision are due February 13th, and replies, if any, are due February 27th. This matter involves the board's January 22nd, 2018 decision at 44 ALRB number 1. The second matter is the Bala Farms of Salinas, LLC, case number 2021 CE 018 SAL, that involves a complaint issued on June 21st of 2022, resulting in a default decision that it was issued and transferred to the board on January 18th of this year. Exceptions are due February 10th. Replies, if any, are due February 23rd. The matter involves cannabis in Monterey County. This report, as well as any other reports and, of course, the board's decisions, are all available on the website for those folks that wish to download it. That concludes my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may pose.
Thank you, Santiago. I don't have any questions, and seeing none, we'll go to our next agenda item with our Chief Board Counsel, Todd Ratchin, the litigation report. Todd, do we have a report today?
No, there are no updates on the litigation front since the last meeting.
Okay, thank you. Next is our General Counsel's report with General Counsel Julie Montgomery. Julie?
Good morning, everyone. Just a real short report today to announce a settlement that the General Counsel's office in the Salinas region has achieved involving West Coast Berry Farms. And that involved a strawberry worker who was performing general labor in Santa Barbara County, who filed a charge that West Coast Berry Farms retaliated and discriminated against him by changing his working conditions and laying him off after he spoke up on behalf of himself and others by requesting bathrooms and drinking water. And also he and other workers refused to enter a work site that was recently treated with pesticides that they believed could have been dangerous. And so they refused to enter that work site until they received assurances from their employer. And I understand they did receive the assurance and ended up entering the fields, but they did feel that their initial refusal was a reason for the subsequent retaliation. So the ALRB, West Coast Berry, and the charging party entered into a pre-complaint informal settlement agreement in which ALRB agents will distribute and read a notice to all agricultural employees at the ranch where the charging party worked. We'll post the notice for 60 days and mail the notices as usual. And West Coast Berry also offered the charging party reinstatement and is going to compensate the party for lost wages alleged in the amount of $4,893. So the charging party is receiving all of the calculated lost wages in that case. And just moving on briefly to a few outreach highlights. During the past couple of weeks, we have continued office hours in Santa Maria at MyCop, and so we've had two visits to that office in the past couple weeks where we've been available to answer questions from workers and just be there for folks in that community. We've also met with stakeholders and service providers at a Connect collaborative meeting in Tulare County hosted by the Cutler-Orosi Unified School District. And I believe today staff is planning to attend an in-person service provider meeting called Active Referral Network hosted by United Way in Salinas in Monterey County. We've also distributed materials at Mobile Mexican Consulate Clinic, Consulado en Ruedas in the city of Livingston in the Central Valley. And on January 19th, our staff did an interview, radio interview jointly with the Labor Commissioner's Office in Spanish on the radio program KBBF 89.1 in Sonoma County, where they talked about wage and hour rights in addition to rights under the ALRA. So that was a nice collaboration together with our sister department and the Labor Commissioner's Office. And we hope to be doing more of those coming up. So that concludes my report for today, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Julie. I don't have any questions. Do any of my colleagues?
No.
Okay, we're gonna try and one moment, please, while we try and figure that out.
Turn this off.
And Ralph's turn off yours too. Ralph, turn that.
Turn your microphone off.
Yeah.
Turn it off.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay.
no.
Okay, well, we're gonna push through and hopefully that resolves. Our next report is our administrative report. We do not have one today. We also will have the legislation and regulatory report with Ralph Lightstone. I know Board Member Broad has to recuse himself from part of this, so why don't we do that first? And then we will have our regulations report.
Okay, I have to recuse myself from the portion of discussion and any action with regard to a submission by the United Food and Commercial Workers and Teamsters regarding the electronic to verify participation in the election process. Oh, should I start again?
I'm not sure if they heard you, Barry, so.
Okay, I have to recuse myself on that, on any consideration and action taken with regard to the comments submitted by the UNCW and the California Teamsters Public Affairs Council regarding the use of electronic signatures, and asked that matter be taken up separately from the rest of the regulation package.
Okay, so can you hear me?
Turn on your mic, there.
Okay, can you hear me now? Okay, great. Okay, so, on our website, we've, because Member Broad recused himself from that issue, as the remaining member of the subcommittee, I issued a report, which is on the website, recommending two things. First, that we finish and complete, instruct staff to complete the adoption of the regulation package that was in development. And second, and separate item, that in response to the letter that we received from the UFCW and Teamsters asking us to consider adopting electronic signatures for showing of support for a union, that we refer that to a subcommittee to examine and develop.
Thank you for UFCW and Teamsters for that comment, and also for this, Ralph, for taking a look at that, Member Lightstone. I agree. I think we are in the final stages of getting this other comprehensive package, so I think we should move forward with that, but definitely should study this issue. As we've said before, I think we want to be modern and accessible, and I think it makes sense, but we need to figure out some of the practicalities. I'd like to understand better how PERB and NLRB do it, particularly with signature verification and validation, and also just process making sure it's accessible for those, for ease of use, as well as those who may not have digital access to, just how that all works. So I will see if any of my colleagues have any comments or questions. Member Flores or Member Hall?
I just wanted to know, thank you, Ralph, for your report, and I'm in agreement with your recommendation of essentially moving forward with the regulatory package that, we have been looking at since 2020, and I think it's time for us to just move forward. But I also agree that the electronic signature public comment should warrant our attention, and I do think that establishing a subcommittee that can investigate and look further into the matter makes sense.
And Board Member Hall, do you have anything to add?
I'm in support.
Okay, great. I will make then a first motion to follow Member Lightstone's recommendation that we send the substance of the comment by UFCW and the Teamsters to allow electronic signatures on petitions to a subsequent subcommittee for further consideration. May I have a second?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, wonderful. All right, let's get Board Member Broad in to discuss the rest of the reg package. And Board Member Lightstone?
Actually, I'm prepared to make a motion to approve the regulation package.
Okay, I second that motion. All those in favor, say aye.
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 All right, thank you. Wonderful, great work. I know this has been a long and large effort, so really appreciate the subcommittee's work, our councils. Todd, I know you've done a lot of work on this as well, and others. Brian and Santiago, for all your work, and we look forward to getting this across the finish line. So excited to see when this becomes published in Title VIII. All right, thanks, Paul. Our next presentation, I'm very excited for my colleagues to see. I get the opportunity to meet with our Communications and Outreach Director, Manager regularly and hear about their great work, and have seen it all along, but I know my colleagues haven't had as much exposure to it. So I'm really excited to have Daniela Ramirez and then our outreach vendor, Census, share all that they've been working on, and I will turn it over to Daniela. Daniela, remember to go off mute.
Good morning, everybody. Yes, thank you, Victoria. And it's been a great journey so far to be part of this process. We have a full team, so I was hoping to be able to introduce our new outreach team today. They're on here today as well. So first wanted to let you introduce you to Lucia Vasquez, who came in August of last year. She's, as all of them are, a training and community education specialist. She in particular grew up in the Central Valley farm worker movement and is based in the Visalia office. Prior to joining ALRB, she served as a consultant on various projects in the nonprofit and government sector. She also holds a doctorate, and so Dr. Vasquez holds degrees in the fields of biology, literature, education, and organizational development. She was also elected to serve as a trustee on the Visalia School Board for 9 years. So she's now in our Visalia office, as mentioned. So welcome, Lucia. Also, Elvia Pina Velasquez, also a training and community education specialist. She's based in our Salinas office and joined our team also in 2022. Prior to joining the ALRB, Elvia worked as an educator, as a bilingual teacher in the Salinas Valley. She holds degrees in psychology and Chicano studies from UC Davis and Cal State Teach. And Elvia has experience in migrant education, not only professionally, but also personally, since she and her parents worked in the fields and lived in migrant centers until 2004. And then last but not least, Omar Gastelum, who is new just this month. He is in our Indio office. He received a degree from UC Berkeley in legal studies and has worked as a community organizer and in public policy in the nonprofit sector. He was particularly working in farm worker housing and rights around housing. He himself was also worked in the fields with his fathers as a young man. So that completes our team. Really happy to have them all on board and excited to see what we can do this year together. We have Census here today, Census Agency. Wanted to give just a little bit of background in terms of last year we brought on Census to work on our farm worker and stakeholder media campaign. Census, exhibited experience with similar campaigns with a cross-cultural approach, and they had experience working with other government organizations or agencies and creating campaigns to reach diverse audiences such as workers and limited English speakers. For our media campaign, there was a need, of course, to update our logo and begin to provide brand recognition that would really resonate with workers and that would assist us in communicating so many key messages and about who ALRB is and how we support farm workers, really bringing much more visibility to ALRB, really across platforms as well. We're out in the communities conducting presentations or at outreach events and ultimately creating a unique brand for us. As part of this process, just wanted to give a little bit of insight in terms of what we're going to be showing today, which was part of our rebranding. Today we're going to be showing our new logo and our tagline. But there was as part of the development of this, we received many logos and taglines. And from there, the top designs were shown to staff where they were able to anonymously vote on a survey and provide us, their favorite ones. In addition, we did some work on the tagline just to ensure that the wording that we were selecting was, the best choice. So we had staff involved in that. To Indigenous language speakers that assisted us to make sure that we were, providing, selecting the best words there. And all of that went out. So from there, that summary of results, we're going to show you what was kind of overwhelmingly chosen in terms of the logo and taglines. But, we feel like the tagline, which we'll see soon, really references our mission statement, to achieve justice for all ag workers through achieving peace in the fields. So it's exciting. All of this will inform our outreach materials going forward, and will really show more of a unified theme. And in the future, of course, this will be reflected on we're continuing to work with Census and developing more materials, such as videos, print materials, of course, outreach materials, and other graphic design. So all of this will be reflected, and it will reflect that design, and essentially assist us in hopefully being more effective in communicating so many key messages that we want out there. So today we're going to receive a presentation from Census. We have here today David Galvan and Jeffrey McKinney, who will show us a little bit, go deeper into the logo and the tagline, and some of the meaning or significance of our choice. So I'll go ahead, unless there are any questions, I'll go ahead and pass it on.
Thank you, Daniela, and just wanted to take a moment to say welcome. Good to see you again, Lucia, and welcome to Omar and Elvia, our new staff. Really excited at just the awesome professional experience and background that you're bringing to ALRB, and want to welcome you to the team, and hope to meet you guys in the future. And I just want to also give a shout out to Daniela, who really wears a lot of hats, has a huge job, coast to coast, border to border, and has done it really well, and is trying to satisfy a lot of different people. So really appreciate all of your hard work. And I'll turn over to Census, who's also got a huge job dealing with us sometimes. So Jeff, David, take it out.
Perfect. Thank you. Jeffrey, you want to go, or should I just?
No, go ahead. No, and obviously, our agency is more than just the two of us. We thought we wouldn't overwhelm you with the small army that backs us up here. But I'll just turn it over to David and just take you through how we've arrived where we've arrived.
Perfect. Well, thank you for that. It's definitely a pleasure working in this project. It's obviously something very important. I'm trying to share my screen. I'm getting it says host disabled participant screen sharing. So if you can just let me do that.
Try again. We're working at Santiago,
Sure.
I think.
Sure. Okay, now it works. Perfect. Let me know when you see it, if you see it.
We see it.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. So yes, just as I was saying, definitely it's been a great pleasure working on this project because of its importance. We wanted to showcase some of the collaboration we've done with you as far as working together towards what the logo, tagline, and brand guidelines we want them to represent, what we want them to communicate, and just to show where we were. This is what we had at your website. This was the logo, which consisted mostly of the seal of the state of California. Which is a beautiful seal, but it does present its challenges. Also, we wanted something to communicate what the ALRB stands for, and that partnership with the workers, with the farm workers, and how the work that you do helps them. And definitely we wanted to be reflective in the logo and the taglines and the brand guidelines. So with that, let's just start with the tagline. The tagline that we arrived at was supporting agricultural workers' rights, which basically translated is apoyando al trabajador agrícola y sus derechos. And the reason that we arrived at this, it's because talks about the main objectives of ALRB and what it does for its target audience. Obviously, the challenge is trying to say all that you do in just a few simple words, right? So that was the communication that we had, and that was the back and forth that we had with ALRB, and we think that this really is succinct in the fact that it represents so much of what you do. Obviously, paired with context, it's gonna signify a lot more. Another tagline that we also arrived at was fairness in the field, because it's something very important to the work that you do, equidad en el campo, because it talks about justice in farm workers' everyday work and also across the agricultural sector. So that's the work on the tagline that we did and the where we arrived at. And as far as the logo, again, it presented its own challenges because we obviously want to say so much about ALRB and its work. And we started to, work towards, what we wanted to showcase. We wanted to be representative of the people that work at the fields, of the people that ALRB works for, and also represent the human aspect, the human connection, between ALRB and the workers, but maybe also even the workers and their, the people that they work for. So this was very important to showcase, and also, we talked about which colors, would be best represented of what we have so far as far as brand guidelines. We want it to be obviously something symbolic, but also that stands out, that it's easy to recognize, something. We arrived, obviously, the main thing that represented what we wanted to showcase was that human connection, like I mentioned. And the final logo that we arrived at was this one, which is symbolizes a lot of things. That's the challenge of logo. How do you represent all these things? So I'm just gonna head and do a little dissection of the logo. First of all, we'll start with the colors. We wanted, we were tasked, to using earthy colors, that are representative of the field. And the gold, it was something that really stands out and also represents the quality of the service and the work that ALRB does. And with that said, with the color palette in place, we were able to showcase some of the significance of the ALRB by putting the ALRB in a bed of the Agricultural Labor Relations Board, so that it's very clear what does it stand for and what does it represent. And together with a typeface that is bold and very attention-grabbing, we chose to go with the dark cobalt blue to be the most predominant element of the logo, because it's the most, we feel is the most important, or the second most important part of it. The breakdown of the acronym also serves as a base to illustrate the entirety of the ALRB name in a modern yet elegant sans serif font with a gold earthy hue. Then the symbolism of the hands. These are, we were talking about, the hands being a partnership, representing a partnership, but the relationship of the ALRB with its workers, as well with the employee or the employer dynamics. And the gold color helped homogenize all the groups and races to make no distinctions and focus on the human relationships. as far as the interweaving green fields that we placed it on, it can also represent, obviously all the nondescript flowers are growing from the bottom to the top, while the weaving or interlaced texture that is created, it speaks to the interconnectedness of the team members and the people who receive our aid. And then lastly, the blue skies with the dissection with the white space that is left. It's a hopeful vision towards the future, and it helps highlight the importance of the clasping hands with almost a spotlight created by the empty white space. The form that is created with the sky also kind of creates a hills and valleys that, allude to the fields in this sector. Lastly, the logo and tagline would be ALRB, Agricultural Labor Relations Board, supporting agricultural workers' rights, and apoyando al trabajador agrícola y sus derechos. And the variant, which is fairness in the field, which talks about justice in the everyday work across the agricultural sector. And that's it.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate all the work, and also all of our staff for providing their feedback. It was really important to us. It's really hard when you're trying to have 60 plus people decorate all one room in a house, but we really wanted that staff feedback, especially because we have so many staff that have really been part of the institution. I'll open it up to see if any of my colleagues have any comments or questions, or if any of our staff have any other comments or questions, since we have several on today.
It's a nice logo.
Yeah, I think so. Good job.
It's beautiful.
Okay. Well, not seeing any questions. Daniela, do you have anything you want to add before closing?
No, I think that was it. Thank you. We're excited to see this be implemented soon. So keep your eye out for it.
Wonderful. Okay. All right. Thank you, and thank you so much to our friends at Census for presenting today and for all of your hard work. Look forward to chatting with you again soon. Our next item on the agenda is public comment. So I'll turn to Santiago to see, do we have anyone in the comment queue?
No one has indicated a wish to comment today. At this time, if there is someone in the Zoom meeting that wishes to make a public comment, please indicate your wish by either raising your hand or unmuting yourself. I don't see anyone.
Okay. All right. Next, we have our last agenda item, which are announcements. Our next meeting will be 2 weeks from now, Wednesday at 10 a.m., February 8th. Thank you all for joining us today, and this meeting of the board is now adjourned. Thank you.